Okay, boss. In the last class, we started seeing about generic extracts with function model, right? But that was a very basic one, not really handling all the capabilities what we actually wanted. So now look at this. So, but you understood the procedure. If I need to perform generic extraction, you have to create extract structure. Then you'll have to go about creating function model. Then you got to go about creating data source using those two. Yeah. But if you have to create function model, it has to create a function model under what? Under function group. Yeah. So what is the purpose of the function group is when you create a function group, it actually creates two programs internal. One is called as top include and one is called as second include. And the top include will have all the global declarations. And whatever I declare in the top include can be reused in all the function models what I create under the function group. The top include program will have the global declarations. Any variable I declare in top include can be globally accessed by every function model what is created under this function group. Okay. And did you go through about this fetch cursor, open? How many of you did this? No one. Good. Normally we use select statement. When you use select statement, it reads all the data. We cannot control the packet size. But when you want to read data from some table with respect to packet size, say I want to read data from this table with 1000 records. Read next 1000, next 1000. When I want to read the records with respect to packet size, then we use what? Cursor statement. Okay. So if you have to use a cursor, what we do is we declare a variable of type cursor. Then we open a cursor based on a select statement. Then we keep fetching the records. Then we say once we finish fetching it, we have to close the cursor. Okay, got this point, yeah? Now look at this, what I'm saying. First let's debug the function model what we have written yesterday, and then let me explain you that. This is a code I've written, right? Yeah? See, does your function model have some import parameters? What do you mean by imports? When the function model is called, you pass parameters to that, you pass values to those input parameters. Okay? And when you have tables are also filled. When you use tables, they can be filled while calling it or they can be exposed also. Two ways is possible. Okay. Say while calling the function model, I can fill the tables, and whatever it is filled in, I can take it back also. Anything is possible when I use tables. These all are internal tables. Anything declared in these tables is what? All these are what? Internal tables. Okay. First, let me explain to you this parameter I underscore reqnr will have the request number. What request number? Like look at this. You write a function model, right? You use this in a data source. You replicate this to BW and you connect that to the target, formulate transformations, then you create info package and trigger it. When you run the info package in BW, will it generate one request number? Like req some number. When you trigger a info package in BW, it is going to trigger a data source. Data source will trigger a program. Look at this. Data source. You remember for R3 data source, when you see extraction tab, it says API program. So there is a program built in ECC which is explicitly used for extracting any data sources. Okay. So when you trigger info package, it triggers my data source. Data source will call the main API program. API interfacing program between BW and ECC. It is in ECC, it will trigger the program. This program will collect all the details, what was my info package request number, which data source. It collects the data source details, then extract accordingly. Let's say if the data source definition says it is based on function model, your API program will call the function model. Look at this. You trigger info package in BW, which will trigger data source or which will call API program, and API program will understand the data source information and find whether the data source is on table or function model, what it is. If it is table, it extracts from table. The program will extract from table. If it is function model, it triggers that function model. Who will trigger the function model? API program, separate program. Okay. So when it triggers that function model, it will pass all the required information to this, saying I underscore. Who will pass? The API program will collect all the information and calls that function model with those information. So I underscore REQNR will get the request number. I underscore D source will get the name of the data source. I underscore max size will get the max number of records per packet, whether it is 100 or 1000 depending on the requirement. Initialize flag, very very important. INIT flag. What is this? I told you when you trigger info package, it is going to trigger API program. API program will call your function model. How many times will it call? Not once. API program will call function model multiple times. Okay. When the API program is called, when the API program calls the function model for the first time, your I underscore init flag will be X. And from next onwards, when it is called, you will not have it as X. Okay. So actually, when the API program calls my function model for the first time, your I underscore init flag will be what? X. So when the function model is called with X, what I should do is I should not extract any data. I should set up the things. I should make all the things ready. That's it. Okay, boss. Then again, second time when the API program calls the function model, then that is called for data extraction. When the function model is called from the API program with init flag equal to X, it means it is calling the function model just for initialization, just for making it ready. Then when it is called from the second time where init flag is not equal to X, then it is called for data extraction. Okay. Then once it is called for data extraction, then I should start extracting the records. Should I extract all the records or only records with respect to what? Max size. I should only fetch the records with respect to max size. Then what I will do? When it is called for data extraction, when I read with respect to packet size, I will use cursor. Then what I will do? When it is called for data packet, I will open the cursor on the select statement. Then fetch the records. See, first time initialization, second time for data extraction. First data extraction call. During first data extraction call, I will open the cursor, fetch 1000 records and go. Next, when I come back again API program again calls my function model. When the function model is called again, should I open the cursor again or only fetch first? Only fetch. Open you just do once. Then I just need to do fetch. Third call only fetch. Fourth fetch. And then fetch then I should say what? Close. That's the concept. Exactly. Yes. All this will happen when you trigger info package. Every time you trigger info package, it happens like this. What happens when you trigger info package? It will trigger API program. API program will take care about calling your function model one time or multiple times. Multiple times. First time when it is called, it calls the function model for initialization. Initialization ante initializing all the variables, setting up all the variables. Then it again calls for the next second time when it calls, it is for extracting database. So during first extraction call, I must open the cursor and fetch it. During from next onwards, from next extraction call, I just have to do what? Only fetch. I think you should know this point. Okay, boss? But it's okay. Then tables. What do we have in this table? I underscore T underscore select. What are the selections you pass in the info package? You can simulate the same thing from the selections here. These are same like your info package selections. Whatever the selections you pass in the info package will be filled into this table automatically. I underscore T underscore select. Okay, boss? Now I underscore T underscore fields is another table which will be filled with all the fields what BW wants. Nothing but can I say transfer structure fields and nothing but extract structure fields. I underscore T underscore fields is a table which will have list of all the fields what we need to extract. So can I write like this? We have to select like this, right? Select VBLN, year, date, all this, the column names what you want, and then put it to the table. Instead of doing that, can I do like this? Select all the fields as per this table. Can I write like this? Because this table is going to hold the columns what we need to extract, right? I will say select all the fields as per the list in this table. అంటే అన్ని ఫీల్డ్స్ ఒక పేరుతో చెప్పే బదులు ఈ టేబుల్లో ఉంటాయి కాబట్టి ఆ టేబుల్ ఏ ఫీల్డ్స్ ఉన్నా ఆ ఫీల్డ్స్ అని ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేయాలి. సెలెక్ట్ ఫీల్డ్స్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ టేబుల్ ఫ్రమ్ ది డేటాబేస్ టేబుల్ ఇంటూ దిస్ సోర్స్. ఓకే. What is the purpose of this table then? E_T_data, that is the main output table. Ultimately, the logic of your function model would be to read data from the database table and fill into what? E_T_data, and the data what you fill into this table, that's what gets to BW. ఈ టేబుల్కి నువ్వు ఏం ఫిల్ చేస్తావో అదే BWకి వెళ్తుంది. So your focus of logic would be filling what? E_T_data. That's my output table. That's why whenever I am using this function model extractor, I first make sure this output table should be same like what your extract, because you're going to read the fields of extract section and fill in. So make sure your output table should be declared like your extract section. Clear is clear? Logic artham. Same thing I'll show you practically by triggering this. I've just put a breakpoint here. So I'll say what is this? Debug mode. Now I'm just triggering this function model. Shall I give some selections also? I know selections will not work, but I would like to show you those table content. Yeah. Done. Let me trigger this. So see, now look at this. What is this is when you see, now I'm not calling my code from the BW info package. I'm just calling it from RSA3. It's like simulator. Okay. When you're triggering it RSA3, it's same as running info package, just simulation mode. And the request ID would be test. Request ID is what? Testing. But if you trigger from BW, it forms like REQ something. Since this is simulation mode, it comes with the request number as what? Test. Okay. And 100 records per call. This is what? Maximum number of records what you want per call. That is what I_max size. And how many number of calls should it do? 10 times. This is what number of packets what it wants. Okay, boss? And what is this? Update mode is full. Okay. Shall I execute this now? So when I just execute it, it does go to what? It is actually going into some program which is basically API program. Don't worry on this. Okay. Now in this API program, it is basically see, if you come down, what did it say? Call function. What is my function name? Prior to that, it has already collected all the details of the data source and could find out that the data source was based on what? Function model. Now it is calling that function model, right? By passing what? Call function model, exporting the request number, data source, all this, and tables, and so on. So, yeah. So it is going to pass all this. Like what is request number? What is the request number here? Test. Why? It is called from what? RSA3. Data source, name of the data source, max size 100. Init flag is what? X now or not? First time it is going to call function, my function model name. It is going to call with all this. And let's see what do we have in I_T_. What is? Select what is there in this? VBLN 7722 VK/1000. Do we have the selections what we given? Let's see what is there in IT fields. Fields what we wanted to extract. Okay, let it call this now. I'll say F5. Okay, so it will go to the function. So it has come to my function model now. It has called that function model with what? Let's see, I_. What is this init flag? X. what is selections, yeah, I underscore T underscore, it's got those fields, yeah. Data source has got my data source name. That was a major, okay, was? Max is 100. But now what you're doing, you're executing a select statement. You're executing select statement which says what? So read so and so fields from VBAC into the table. So what does it do? Will it read 100 records? Will it read 1000 records? I'm not initializing, I'm not really caring about init flag, nothing. I'm just kept on extracting, yeah. So now let's see this table, yeah. Let's see. So how many records? Did we really worried about the packet size? Nothing. We just reading all 9248 records. Good. And goes out. Okay. At read just a correct, but it goes out. Let me run again. Again it comes to the API program. Again calls my function module. Now what is init flag now? Blank. Again it will extract how many? Again the table has got 9248 record. Again. That's why it is reading 10 times of the same complete set. I can't explain more than this. This is max. Clear? So you got the problem now? So basically the coding what we have written was not really caring about the selections what we passed in data selections, which gets filled into I underscore T underscore select, and it was not really caring about the packet size also, right? So we need to control both those two. Yeah. Let's say we wanted to have selection on VBLN and VK over these two things. Let's get them. So let me modify this function. So you want me to create again? Extract structure is same, but I'm going to create a new function model, and I'm going to show you again from the group. First, don't do anything. I told you SAP gives you some ready-made function model to extract, right? Just find this group, yeah. And what are the declarations done in this group? Where do we, this is called top include, top program or top include program, and UXX they call it second include they call it, yeah. So when you go to top include, it will have all the global declarations, and these global declarations are required in writing my code. So if I try to copy the code from the function model into my own function model and into my own group, when I try to say, it says I don't know this variable, this declaration is not available. So first thing is I need to copy all these declarations. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just copy this, okay. I'm creating what? You know how to create extract section, that is fine. So you go to what? Function group and say what? Create group. I would say ZBW TR. Okay. Say save. Now again I'll go with change of the group. Okay, double click on the name. This is my top include. Edit and then start pasting. I just copied all the code what was there in the top include. I'm just copying it. Okay, just say activate. So you have to bring in those global declarations, otherwise your code will not be able to recognize that. Okay? So my group is activated. Now under this group I will have to go about creating a function model. And when I'm creating function model, I'll create a copy of this. I told you there's a template function model given. I'll just say copy from is this, and 2 is what? This time I'll say what? And which group you want to create? ZBW GRP. Copy. I'll start modifying it. Because I also don't know ABAP so much, okay? But I know what to be modified. You can understand whether I mucked up or I know logic, whatever it is, you can understand. But I know how to modify it here. First thing is you will have a declaration as tables, which says from which table you would like to extract. Now, what is my table? It's changing the table here. So I don't have to touch on all this. Now, do we have a selections? You want enable selections on what? 2 fields. One is VKORG and one is VBLN. So if you want to enable selection of 5 fields, I need 5 range variables, because what I do, what are the selections they given, I collect those selections into some variables. That is called as a range variable, because the selections are going to be included between all this. If you want any hold that kind of content, I need range variables. So I'll convert this L underscore R. What is it mine? VBLN is 1. I want one more range. Ranges, and it's a range variable. Okay. VKORG for what? You can change this for what? VBAK hyphen VBLN VBAK hyphen VKORG. Done. I've created my own range variables now. Look at this. There is an if condition which says what is? If init flag equal to SBAWC flag on. This is actually constant declaration. If I double click, it's already declared somewhere, so and so as what? X. It is declared somewhere in this type pool. This would have been all this would have been declared in my top program. That's why I can understand this. Or for us, I can also straight away put this as even this way is fine. I am checking if my init flag is equal to X, means it is, if it is called for what? First time, that is for initialization. Should I extract data or no?
Yes.
I should not perform any extraction. I should make things ready. Whatever it passed in, I should collect everything into my own variables and keep it ready. Don't worry in this part, just remove this. See what I am doing now. Do they give us selections in what? I underscore T underscore select. If it is called for initialization, I am just collecting all the selections what is given into my own variable. What is this variable? S underscore if underscore hyphen T select. This is declare if you double click. See, it says S underscore if is type so and so. If you double click on this one, it shows me declaration. Now this is the structure which has got all the fields like request number, D source, max size, init flag, T select, T fields and name. Okay, so I can use this. So the declared variable of type this structure. Now I am saying structure hyphen field. So it has got table internally S underscore hyphen T select. I am putting in for request number I am assigning I underscore request number, data source I am putting in data source, max size I am putting into max size. Then whatever fields I have got in T underscore I underscore T underscore fields I am putting into what? S underscore if hyphen T fields, because these are like global variables. So even if my control goes out of my function model and comes in again and again, those will be still stored. Okay, see, it is declared as what is this? Statics. When I say statistics, it's like global variables, like buffer. They get stored in buffer bus, because when these are like local variables, right? Only when a function model is called, you know this. But if it goes back and comes again, still I should have those values out. So I am storing them in the buffer for them. Yeah? So that is what I am doing with installation. Just collecting the selection values into this variable. Collecting the request. See, when this is request number assigned to this, data source assigned to this, max is assigned to this parameter. Same, I'm collecting all the T underscore fields into what? Into my variable, into my global variable, buffer variables, you can say. Now, what is this else part? Else part for what? For this statement. Means else, in else, what is that you going to write? If it is called for data, if init flag is not equal to X, if it is called for data extraction, again within the data extraction should I check whether it is called for first packet or, because during first packet I must say open and then fetch. For second packet I must say only what? Fetch. That's why in the else part again I have got if condition which says if packet ID is 0 means what? First extraction call, okay? Yet that is end if. So see, I've just put this block. There is nothing like now, right? Only fetch. We see only fetch. You see, if I expand this block, this set of code is written only for packet 1. Means packet first packet. It's so what happens? The open cursor gets executed only when the packet ID is 0 only. So can I say this gets executed only first time, first packet call? Yeah. So this is opening like this. Okay. Now let me have to change it here. Look at this, it is reading all the selections from buffer. This is a buffer table with all the selections. If my selections I need to collect the into low range variables now. If the field name is what? VBLN, move that into this, and to which what is my range variable name? L underscore R underscore what? VBLN, and upon this into VBLN. Yeah. Now what is the next field? Okay, boss. So see, in this loops we are just collecting the selections of VBLN into range variable of VBLN, collecting the selections of VKORG into range variable of VKORG. I will show you in the debugging. Yeah? And then what is it? I need to say open cursor with hold what? This is a cursor name for which select statement? For this, for select. So I am not writing select of fields. I am just saying select of fields listed in the table. Because the content of I underscore T underscore fields is already collected into a statistics variable as S underscore if hyphen T set T fields. So select the fields from what? From which table? From VBAK, where what is my condition? Where VBLN in because it's a range variable, right? VBLN, okay. And done was okay. So I finished opening cursor. When it is called for the packet 0, it has to open and then fetch also was. So that's why this is not else part. Else end if in the only when the packet ID is 0 it will perform this. But when the packet ID is 0, will it perform this code also? Yes. It performs entire code when the packet ID is 0, open and fetch also. But when the packet is 0, it will perform open and fetch. When the packet ID is not 0, it will perform only fetch was. Then what next? This is a fetching. Fetch next cursor. Appending corresponding fields of table fields to which table? E underscore T underscore with respect to which size? Max at 100 records only. It fetches next 100, second 100, third 100 like that. If it is able to read, fine. Suppose if fetch is failed, if fetch fails means what? There is no more data to be read. Then it says what? Close cursor and raise. There is no more data available. And I am just incrementing this packet ID. First time it comes with 0. I am increment 1 and goes in. Next time when the function model is called, what will be packet ID? 1. So when the packet ID is 1, will it perform open or only fetch was? Only fetch. That's the logic. This is the code and because a person who don't know about like me, I was able to customize this within 2 minutes. Does it make sense? So what will I do now? Should I go changing the data source now? This was my data source. I'll say change. Now what is this? Instead of using 001, I'll use what? One more thing. So which we missed it. Did I declare my output table like my extract structure? No, right? What is my extract structure? Why? Remember, why should I change this out? Yes. That's it. Now I'm changing function model. Save it. make sure you enable VBL and VQ origin because unit test selections for those two. But suppose if you want selection for one more, again you should enable the ERTET. Again, make sure you write a code you create a range variable, collect the content of select I underscore T underscore select into range variable and use the range variable in the where class of your open cursor statement. Okay, that's it. Now go to RSA3. Start testing it out. How many records it is extracted? Why? 100, 10 times. Perfect వచ్చింది. If you document number 7722. How many records? Is my selections working? What it says? No data. There is no values for the, I know there is no value for the selection 1001. Clear? Let's see the debug. So is it all fine working now? Now let's see how is it working fine now. So again it is called my API program. So API program is going to call my function model with all request number. Let it call it. Let it come in. Now what is my init flag? So is it now call for initialization? So what I will be doing, I will be just collecting all my data into what? Static s underscore if. Let's see what happens. Now it is filled this. What is this code? Append lines of I underscore T underscore select to what? T underscore select. Now T underscore select as of now it is what? It's a structure and a table internal inside a structure. Okay. And this 0. Now let's say F5. I think I did not give any selection set. I did not give, that's why it's blank. Okay, fine. Okay. Let's see the request number. Okay. F5. Now let's go see the structure. If request number collected as text, it will fill data source, it will fill max size. Okay. You seeing this change here? Yeah. What next of code? It will fill my I underscore T underscore fields. Now I underscore T underscore fields is what? 0 into this. So the entries of I underscore T underscore fields are collected into S underscore hyphen T fields. Double click on this table. Filled in, yeah, good. Now it gets into else part. Let's get it out. It's come to the end of function model, goes out. Okay. Again it comes to function model. Now what is my init flag? See now when it is called again I underscore T underscore select or I underscore T underscore we have to get into what? S underscore S if. Okay. Now what is init flag now? Tell me. Huh? come to the API program, let me press F8, so it stopped my breakpoint. Now init flag is X, it does do the initialization and then gets back, goes out, again it comes into function model. Now what is init flag now? Blank, so it is called for extraction, so it gets it else part. Is my packet ID is what now? 0, it means it is called for first dead extraction. So what it does it do? It reads the selections into this range variable. Let's see that range. So no selection, so it's blank. Sign op range and it will do. If you create range variable, it will have sign, option, low and high. That's range variables. Now let's open the cursor. I know there is no selections. Now it is finished opening up. Next it what? When the packet ID is 0, will it open as well as what? Fetch cursor. Fetch cursor. When it fetches, then this table should have how many records now? Why it is fetched 100 records? Because it is fetching as per what? Max is 100 records. Now size of bars is 0, so it is able to read the data, fine, goes in, increments packet ID. Now packet ID becomes what? Once, goes back, again get into the code. Let us come for again next extraction. Initialization no. Packet, is my packet ID 0 or 1? 0 or 1? 1. So should it do open and fetch or only fetch? So it gets in this. See, this if condition is not satisfied, right? It will not go into this if condition. Straight away it comes out after the end if. So it will only fetch next 100. So next 100 records are fetched 100, but next these are next 100. This is that was 5138 something. Again it will go for is it 5138 or 5225? Is it next set of 100 bus? First 100, second 100, third 100, like that it goes. Again, now packet is what? 0. Atla code packet. Did you understand this? So if I give some selections now. Init flag else X. This should have all my selections what I passed. V balance 7722. Yeah. Again it comes in for extraction. It loop through all my selections of V balance should be filled into this range variable. I equal to 7722. If my selection is filled into range variable, now while opening cursor, it will place that. We are going to use this in the where class. Select from this where we run in this range variable. Yeah? It will fetch. Since there is only one record, it will fetch one record, and that gets out of it. So in the function model extractor, you are controlling the data selections by using the table I underscore T underscore select, collecting the contents of I underscore T underscore select into S underscore hyphen T select, and then you are collecting this content of the table into range variables and using the range variables while opening the cursor. And how are you controlling the packet size? By using open and fetch. By using cursor, we open the cursor during packet ID 0 and then fetch it, and when the packet ID is 1 or greater than 0, then you start only fetching the next set of records. So by using open cursor and fetch cursor, you are able to read only records with respect to packet size. Yeah. So once in the interview, they will not never ask you to write a code. First thing is they ask, did you work with generic extraction? What do you say? Yes. And then what did you work in? Before you ask, you should say, I have worked with generic extraction function model and table and view or info set. Then his focus will be on function model. So did you work with function model? Then you say what? Yes. And he will not ask you about the code. He might ask you two cases. One is what was the scenario you written function model, and how can, then you can get into technical. If he's getting into technically, then the question should be, how do you control the packet size? While writing, he'll ask you questions like that. How do you control packet size? What do you say? Yeah, we were using the packet counter, and then we were using the open cursor and then fetch cursor to read the set of records as per max size. So we're controlling the packet size. Okay, Navas? Then I'll ask you, how did you control the data selections? Then you say, as in normally, as all the selections come into I_T_select, during installation I'm collecting into stat6 variable like S1_S1_T select. Then while opening the cursor, during packet data is 0, I'm reading all the data from the global selections table into range variables, and using the range variables in the where class of your open cursor statement. That's how we are controlling the selection. That's the two questions he would ask. Majorly they would like to know, how did you control the selections and how did you control the packet size. That's what they will be interested in. Okay, was fine. So will you be able to answer those two? Then what was your turn?
What is the same?
What's that?
So that SMS to SMS to I. Okay.
That you can change that name also.
But was it declared simply because it contained everything? It contained IMS.
That name you can change, but the type what was used to declare that is a fixed one. It's already declared. Huh?
So I can change the C declaration of one. It is static.
This one. This is already declared in this SRSC type pools.
This is a by default